Today I'm going to be talking about the pressures of being an only child. And not a lot of people talk about it, and I wish somebody would because there is so much pressure and heaviness on being an only child because all the focus is on one person, and there's a lot of pressure of you have to do this right, you have to be perfect, and it's very stressful and it can be challenging because I know the first thing people think of when they think of only children are they're spoiled, they get anything they want, they're fine, they don't have the stresses of siblings and arguments and all that. But the truth is, being an only child is very lonesome, especially growing up. I myself am an only child, so I completely understand this. It's very lonesome because you don't have a person even to understand fully and in depth your family structure, how you were raised. You don't have that relativity with anyone. And yeah, you can have friends that can understand or relate to some degree, but nobody in your life can understand the depth of what you went through or how you were raised. And that's where it can get really tricky and lonesome because you are alone in the world. It's a big world, and you're just one person that was born from these people that nobody else could really understand because it was only your experience, which is can be great and unique and beautiful, of course, but it's a huge world, and not knowing anyone who can understand, that's where the lonesome comes in. And I feel that a lot of only children are pushed into this big world, having to create friendships or connections, and they don't, they can't rely on having a sibling to have that connection with. And I think that's why a lot of only children have a lot of pressures when it comes to creating friendships even and wanting that deep connection because we don't have that deep connection with the sibling or so it can get very challenging. I just wish people would talk about being an only child because then it can create some re- relativity. Is that the right word? It could just create a connection and understand that I'm not alone, or only children aren't alone in this, because it's very hard sometimes to maneuver the world and try to figure out why I wasn't born with a sibling. So that too can be tricky because it's, in a way, you can get mad because I know I was growing up. I was very angry and I thought it was so unfair that people had siblings and could talk to them and they would just know what's going on or have that advice. But as you get older, you realize that you find those connections with friendships and it makes beautiful connections and beautiful friendships. And being an only child is definitely has its pros and cons, of course, but I think that heaviness and pressure over you have from your parental figures is so hard because your parents expect so much from you because you're their only one, and you get this sense of needing to be perfect, and if you're not perfect then like the world, literally you feel like the world is literally going to end. And I felt a lot of that when I was younger, so I always did everything right, did everything my parents told me to. I didn't want to make anybody upset, and I think that all comes from being an only child as well too, because you're their only child and you don't want to mess that up for them. You don't want them to be disappointed in you because you're their only one. And that's not fair to us, and that's what I want to bring to this conversation is it's not fair to us because we matter more than what our parents want, and we deserve to feel the way we want to feel and not have the pressures of what they want us to feel. But that can also go a long way with other people as well, not just only children, because there's just so much pressure on trying to do everything perfect, and it's not fair because we're already so hard on ourselves, especially only children. They're very hard on themselves, because I know that personally. I'm very hard on myself because I don't want to disappoint the parents I have, because I'm their only kid. And I think that we need to rewire our brains and understand that we're doing our best, and if it doesn't meet our parents' expectations, it's okay. If we meet our own expectations, that should be the only thing that matters. Is if we meet our expectations and we do what we want and we live the life we want, that's all that matters at the end of the day. We shouldn't be still carrying these pressures and heaviness and on ourselves when we already do that so much to ourselves, and it's damaging because we matter more than what they think and all they say. So as long as you are happy in the life you are creating for yourself, that's all that matters at the end of the day. And I know it can be lonesome with only children, but just remember that you matter more and that the connections you build matter even more. So remember that.